Well, hello. It's time for another exciting episode of Pens in Use. This is the show where I talk about the fountain pens and inks I've been using throughout the week. And it's been a few weeks. So, let's dive into it. If videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And are there any other tales you'd like me to bring up? The things I've brought up in the past you'd like an update? Let me know down in the comments. In the meantime, let's look at some pens. Alright, so these are the pens and inks I've been using. A lot of changes since the last time we were together. From left to right, I have a Kaigalu 316, but thanks to, doing these reviews and things, I learned it's an updated version. It's actually a Kaigelu 316A. Next to it, I have a Parker Duofold. You might notice kind of a similarity there, I don't know. Romus Majestic, another Parker Duofold, but quite a bit older. Twsbi Draco, a very elderly Aurora 88, a new Aurora 88, and I was going to do a comparison video of the two pens, but turns out I've already done that video, so I guess I won't bother with that. A Parker 61, and a Swan Mabie Todd 3240. I will be doing my writing sample in this cognitive surplus notebook, and if you hear wind outside, that's because it's windy. Hopefully everybody had a good Juneteenth, and turns out it's Pride Month, so hopefully everybody's enjoying that, and I don't know, there was something else I was going to say too, but I forgot what it was. But anyway, let's take a look at some pens. Pardon my fingers, I've been digging in the dirt since I filmed the other part of this, so I might be a little dirtier. I tried to groom, but So this is that Kaigelu 316A. That looks really dark. Let's just dial up the exposure a weensy little bit. Because of this camera I can. Yeah, that's a little better. Alright, so Kaigelu 316A. I was getting worried while I filmed my first impression of this. I almost out of Parker Quink Washable Blue, but luckily I've got a whole other bottle yet. Aren't you happy? I didn't do my Washable Blue video last summer, so I should get on that. So I've got a few more days of must-do digging in the garden that I have to do. And then I will have time to set aside an afternoon or a morning or whatever time I'm going to be productive and film a couple of those kind of videos. The washable versus regular blue video is going to require several days because it involves using a washing machine, among other things. And, it's not a bad blue, really. Let's just pull back a tiny, not a whole lot, just a tiny bit. Alright, the next pen has become my daily writer. It's actually not really a pen I want to, carry around with me and write, especially at work, because you have to unscrew it. I prefer the Lamy 2000 or the Parker Sonnet for that purpose, but it is a nice pen to write with, very comfortable. But wait around till you can find them on sale, because I also think it's a very overpriced pen for what you get. So this is a Parker Duofold with a fine nib. And I'm actually almost out of this ink too. Parker Quink. So I'm going to try to use up my black inks, my smaller bottles of black inks, so I can make a big dent in my collection of inks, because I actually go through a lot of black ink. So you might see one more pen, or else this one, filled up yet with the Parker Quink Black, but then I'll be out of it. I'll probably use Aurora Black next. I, last year, was it last year? Or is it 2 years ago? I did a Juneteenth video. I think it was Juneteenth. I don't remember why I did it anymore. Anyway, the important thing is, I did a video where I inked up every single pen with black, and I only missed one color of black that I had that happened to be at school. So I'll have to put a link to that in my video description. So this is the Romus Majestic. I've been making myself not right with it because it hasn't appeared in pens in use yet, as far as I remember. Except maybe with, blue ink in it. What ink is this? Oh. So this is Iroshizuku. I don't know if you can tell. It's a dark brown. Oops, Yama-guri. Hey, at least it's wind, which is a natural sound, rather than all the machines running that I was trying to deal with when I did the me talking part this morning. And since I'm indoors, you're hopefully not getting the wind noise across the microphone. You just get the nice sound of the wind. I think it's kind of cool when I'm sitting in here and I get that howling effect, because when the wind is in just the perfect direction and speed, it actually literally howls. And you're cozy indoors and all that happy stuff. Alright, so from the probably 20s or 30s, I have this Parker Duofold. I feel like... Is the exposure on manual? Yep, it is. Okay. Well, let's be fair. This is very... Not that close. Very dark celluloid. So this is, I was just trying to remember which nib is in this one. So this is a Parker Duofold. It's a lot older than me. A lot older than my parents. Not quite as old as my grandparents would have been, but pretty old. This is a Parker Duofold Streamline Junior. And I hope you can write that well when you're that old. So platinum, classic lavender black, which is kind of a fun ink. You can see that it's changing color. It's one of those iron gall inks, which one of these days I really want to try making an iron gall ink just for fun. I have a whole chemistry cabinet full of inks, and I can justify it by saying, hey, it's a chemistry experiment. So we've got oxidation here and all that going on. And of course, I have to try the chemistry experiment myself first. My next pen is much brighter finish. It's a Twsbi Draco. And I'm complaining, but maybe on my preview screen it doesn't show up the greatest either. Let's try. That really helped not at all, but whatever. So this is the Twsbi Draco, a very wet writer. I've liked some Twsbi pens I've used, some I didn't like. I've used the 580. I had two. One I really liked. I think I either gave it away or sold it. Or traded it. I think I traded it. No, I sold it. I just wasn't using it even though I liked it. And then I had one that was not so nice. So this is Atramentis. But Twsbi, they're trying new things. They're listening to their customers. They have definitely worked on the reliability thing. So I think they're headed in a good direction. So Twsbi Draco with a Atramentis Aubergine. I just planted a whole bunch of aubergine plants in my garden. Well, I say just planted, it's been a few weeks, but they're in my garden anyway. You know, eggplant. And I'm sure on the film this is going to look like it's a black ink. But it honestly matches the color of eggplant very well. As long as, you know, it's a traditional black beauty or something. And eggplants have very cool flowers, too. So I always look forward to them starting to flower. This is an elderly, probably from the 1940s or 1950s, Aurora 88. They were trying to compete with Parker. So Aurora 88, and I don't remember what ink this is. Diamine Damson. I should write vintage here. One thing I enjoy with this pen is it's just very flexible. And I love the form factor. I can see how this pen could actually have become a daily writer for me. Now, since it is vintage and does have its little peculiarities just because of its age, I don't like it to be my daily writer. It's been my daily writer just for like a day or two at a time. And this wouldn't be a bad ink to use as a daily writing if you just don't want to use black. You know, it's just a super dark purple. Ooh. Yeah, and right there is why I don't like to. There is a small leak in it somewhere that occasionally happens. Maybe I need to use some Captain Tollies on it or something. This is a modern Aurora 88. You didn't see it. You didn't expect that color to come out of it, did you? So, this is the Giove finish, and the ink in it I have is Rohrer and Klingner. Helianthus. I hope. No, it isn't. The ink I have in it is Stipula, which is an I, not a U. Stipula, Calamo. It's not written on the bottle, so I had to look it up on their website. Calamo Saffron Yellow. About a year ago, I bought a very expensive little tiny packet of saffron. That is a flippin' expensive spice. And so far, I had a recipe I was going to use it for, and I just thought, I'm going to just try this because I've never used it and whatever. And I haven't built up the nerve to actually use it, but I suppose I should before it goes bad, because then it'll be worse than splurging on a super expensive spice. It'll be just like, well, that was just a waste of money all around. I'm not sure what makes it so expensive. I should probably look that up. This is a Parker 61. Now, you probably can't tell there, so let's bring it up closer. Ooh, let's see if we can change the light on it. This has what's called a rainbow cap. What they did, I guess, is they used several different metals. Some of them are much more obvious than this one. This one is very subtle. The really good ones go for a bit more money, which is probably why I was able to afford it. Whoops. I almost rolled over my cell phone charger. Okay. So, kind of Parker 51-ish, but it's a 61. And the ink in it is Pelikan 4001 Royal Blue, which, You know, when I go through my next bottle of Parker Quink Washable Blue, I have an enormous bottle of this stuff. So maybe it'll be time to switch my standard ink. I don't know. Anyway, it seems like a little bit brighter than the Parker Quink. The fun thing about this pen is its filling mechanism. You just dip this end in to the ink, and it just goes in by capillary action. And it holds a surprising amount of ink. I was surprised the first time I ever used one how long it took me to write the pen empty. Alright, my last pen is this Swan Mabie Todd 3240. It's a lever filler. It's a British pen, I think. I don't remember. There was something special about the nib, but I don't remember what it was. It's kind of wide. I don't know, maybe it's a cursive italic or something. I don't remember. So Swan Mabie Todd. The two pens I filled most recently are these two because I just had a really dismal selection of colors. So the ink in this is Rohrer and Klingner. Alt-goldgrün. Let's snort this puppy up here. There might be a storm blowing in tonight, so I'm wondering if that's part of what this wind is. You know, you can always tell when the weather system's about to change because of the wind. And of course, North Dakota is a very high wind state anyway. You know, yesterday I was thinking, yesterday and the day before, do I want to get my air conditioner out or not? And not because it's too early in the summer, because it's only the end of June, and it's North Dakota. Not the case last year, but this year, in normal years. But now today, with the windows open, it feels great in here. Alright, so today was the perfect storm of everything audio. First one is my fault. I decided I should run the dishwasher. Alright, so today was kind of the perfect storm of audio issues. First one's my fault. I decided, I'm just going to run the dishwasher. And it's still running. Second one, thought, alright, we'll just record over that. Neighbor, right next door, decided to start mowing the lawn. So I waited for her to be done. I sit down here and the neighbor out this side is apparently having work done in his yard where he's got a big loader and everything, and that's going to make all kinds of noise. And I just finally said, you know what? Hell with it. I'm going to record, and you're just going to have to put up with the noise. So, I'm going to revisit a couple of old topics today, and then I'm going to talk toward the end about where I've been and what's going on. Somewhat edited to protect the innocent. So, last winter, I talked about South Dakota Attorney General Jason Ravensborg. He was driving and struck and killed a pedestrian named Joe Bover, and got a couple misdemeanors, and that was about it. But more information about the investigation came out. You know, because he was the Attorney General, they actually had officers from North Dakota come down and conduct a lot of the investigation, which is why you'll see a lot of people seem to be confused about what state this happened in. It happened in the other Dakota, not my Dakota. South Dakota is where all this happened. But anyway, there were quite a lot of questions around it, including him, I don't know what I hit. And apparently the guy's face was in the car at one point because they found the pedestrian's glasses inside the car. And, I've got some links down below if you want to find out more. But anyway, so he is the first elected official in South Dakota to be impeached. He was impeached back in April of 2022 by the South Dakota House of Representatives. And this week, the Senate impeachment trial was held, and they upheld the impeachment. A lot closer than I expected it to be, but he is impeached. He can no longer hold elected office in the state of South Dakota. And prior to all this, he had decided not to run as Attorney General anyway, because I think he saw the writing on the wall. It is kind of interesting because he's been in kind of a spat with South Dakota's interesting governor, Kristi Noem, over corruption and things, so I guess she won. I'm glad. I wish he'd suffered real consequences for taking a human life, and he just showed to me, a shocking lack of remorse for killing somebody. I just can't imagine whether I meant to or not, I just can't imagine killing somebody and just being like, whoopsie, go on with the job. Okay, I'm just moving a little closer here because I didn't like my lighting. But anyway, so that's where that's ended up. I also at one point this winter talked about a hotel owner in Rapid City, South Dakota, who I was actually in South Dakota the weekend this all went down, but not staying at a ritzy place like hers. But anyway, she declared that her hotel would no longer rent rooms to Native Americans. Now this hotel is actually run by a lot of family members, her and several sons. And I guess several family just have money in it and whatever, so it's kind of a family corporation. And anyway, you can imagine that went over like a lead balloon. They were not super thrilled about her statements, especially after protests that have ensued, and a lawsuit, which is still pending, so I don't know how it turned out, but some Native Americans did try to stay there and were turned away. Also, every Native American employee of the hotel quit, which good for them. So later on, this mother was filmed spraying protesters with cleaning spray and was arrested on 3 counts of assault. So, yeah, she's a real winner, apparently. And the latest in this saga, remember I said it's a family corporation, is that a son is suing the corporation and his family, because he's a shareholder. He says the actions of his family have irreparably hurt the business. You think? So, one item he cites is his mother's post. Apparently his brother, who works there, manages it or something, was having an affair with an employee. Brother was not turning in financial paperwork on time. And another brother spit, swore, and shouted at a guest during a BLM protest. According to the Daily Beast, he does plan to withdraw the lawsuit. He says his mother has gotten better and is not a racist. So, kind of an icky saga there. The dishwasher finally stopped, but we've still got the digging going on next door. So a few weeks ago, I also did a video on a really awful public comment session in the city of Minot over the flying of a rainbow flag. They came out in droves over that flag being up, but not any of the others that had flown previously. So Mayor Sean Sitma, who's actually an alumnus of the school where I teach, but too old to have been one of my students, ran the public comment session from hell. Emotions ran quite high, and I was impressed by the job he did, how he did his best to keep it in order. And those kind of things are ugly, and they do get emotional. And honestly, if I'd been running, I don't know if I could have stayed as calm as he did. But many people asked me if he was reelected. And so last week, North Dakota held its primaries. And the local elections were always held during the primaries. And he lost. He actually came in third in his election. Also, Minot has a new policy that they are no longer able to fly any flags with the U.S. and North Dakota flags. So I don't know what his next plans are. I'm kind of curious. I don't know when her term is up, when Alderwoman Evans' term is up. Is she going to run again? And if she does, will she get elected? During that particular meeting, Minot definitely didn't show a very welcoming side to anybody. But anyway, I'm glad I posted that video. Coverage of that meeting in most of the media just focused on a quick soundbite. Carrie Evans' comments. But I wanted to share the larger context in which those comments came out. So that's why I shared it. I don't usually like to do that kind of video. It's just not my thing. I don't like doing commentary. But that was one I just thought, because it was local, was just worth it. So anyway, we come to me. So yes, I am using a notebook because I do have notes here to make sure I don't forget something or wander off topic. So I've missed a couple of weeks posting, and the truth is I haven't been good. I don't want to get into too many specifics because it does involve other people, and I don't want to speak for them or misrepresent them or any of that, so I'm just not going to talk about that. But I'll just tell you this much. I had a experience of sustained fear. And I don't mean that moment when, oh shoot, my car's slipping on the ice, or, oh, that dog looks really angry. I mean sustained, helpless, you can't do anything about it type of fear. And I've never really had that before. Again, some of you know the specifics, but most of you don't. I even had a small meltdown over it talking to my parents one evening, and that really isn't me. I will admit I perform a little bit while I'm filming these, but basically you're seeing me. I'm happy, I joke around, I'm quieter than I am on camera, but the real me would not do good video as far as that goes. And yeah, I was pretty incoherent during my little meltdown. And it took me a while to figure out things. There was, I wasted some time on denial and, why did you act like that? That was so stupid, and, all those kind of things. But I want to, like I said, I did figure out what finally was the big thing bothering me. But I just want to talk a little bit about how I deal with things like this. So, I don't like talking about deeply personal things with people. I just don't. Sometimes people think I'm oversharing here, but you get a very curated Swasky squirrel when you watch this channel. But, that's probably one of the reasons I'm still single. I don't open up easily. But one of the things I do, I write. That totally was off screen. I write. One of the things, some people might call it journaling. I'm not formal about it. Some people, I journal a half hour every day. Well, I don't. I write when I need to, and I don't write when I don't need to. But I have found over the years, organizing my thoughts on paper helps me a lot. And you look through it, a lot of it is garbage and repetition and just nonsense. But it puts it down, and then you can look at it more objectively, because once it's on paper, it's like, okay, that's separated now from what's going on in here. And sometimes you'll look at it and you're just like, really? That's what's bothering you? Toughen up, Buttercup. Other times you get to the core of what's bothering you, and this is... It's why I realized I wasn't just end of the year malaise, oh, I'm so sick of teaching, I want the year to end. It wasn't that was bothering me, and it really went back to one event, and reading what I'd written in paper just helped me a lot to see it. So what do I write? Well, sometimes, especially since I started doing YouTube and the driving videos and things, which there are some coming, I've got a blizzard with a topic coming up soon. Well, not a blizzard, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Since I started YouTube, a lot of times I'll write, it's like it's a script for a video. In fact, a lot of it's in here right now. And yeah, that's weird, I know. There is a whole script in here. It's back a few pages. It's called Recent Events. That's where I put it all down. And it would make a terrible driving video because it needs to be edited and organized. And it got into the personal stuff that I'm not talking about and the specifics that I'm not talking about. So, yeah, it'll never see the light of day. It's just too personal to share. I write stories sometimes, just short stories and whatever that I have no plan of ever publishing them, but just kind of as a way to help me deal with certain things. I guess what I'm trying to say is understanding yourself is valuable. Journaling is a way to understand yourself. And I think it's important to do some introspection. Sometimes you find out, hey, I was absolutely flipping wrong there. Sometimes you see, oh, that was really nothing. Sometimes you see that, oh, that was more serious than you thought. You get all those perspectives, and getting that little bit of distance by putting it on paper is what I think makes it work. Also, getting out in nature helps. I took a week off from the news because definitely there were some other stressors, based on my profession going on during this springtime. So a week hiatus from the news really helped. I do have quite the story I found in the Dickinson Press when I got over my news hiatus, but I'm not going to share that today. I'm going to save that for another day. That might be a driving video because it is, oh my God. You have to laugh so you don't cry kind of thing. But now, I will admit the whole idea of anybody ever reading this stuff horrifies me. And I don't know where you all stand on this. But I get rid of this stuff. After this notebook is filled, it's gone. Because I don't want people reading it. I don't want people to know what's going on in here, because sometimes it's kind of messy. And I do realize that for some people that's historical and whatever, but nope, not me. So I guess I would close by, what works for you. Do you journal? How do you journal? Are you a journal keeper or a journal tosser? Let us know down in the comments. And like I said in the beginning, if you'd like to talk about, or like me to update you on any other story I have mentioned fairly recently. Also, excuse me. Ever since I closed the window there, I started coughing. Anyway, if you'd like an update on any other stories, let me know down in the comments. So, if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. And again, do you journal? How do you journal? What do you do with it afterwards? Are there any other stories you'd like me to update you on? So I want to thank you for watching. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.